Meghan McCain, your racism is showing, baby. Hi, welcome to JOA. If you're new to my channel, please click subscribe and click that bell button so you'll be the first to know when I upload. I'd really appreciate if you subscribe, you click that bell, patreon.com/JOA. Everything's down below in the description. I want you guys to watch this clip and I'll come back with some more.
What did you think when you heard both evening speeches last night?
Well, candidly, Whoopi, I was really disappointed in Biden's speech. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insight into how Republicans think. There was a concern when President Biden was elected that despite his almost 40-year career in Congress as a centrist, that he would govern as a progressive, that he was sort of this Trojan horse for progressive policies. I had faith he wouldn't be that. Seeing what he said last night, that faith has gone completely out the window. This is by far the most progressive speech of any modern president, I think, since LBJ. The answer to every single problem in the United States of America is to write a check and bankrupt my generation in the process. And if you don't believe me, because I'm conservative, believe the New York Times. They said, quote, Biden, a lifelong centrist, has moved leftward and moved the biggest expansion of American government in decades. And he's getting praise from people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think that he is showing himself to be someone who I think there's questions if he's going to run for president again coming up because of his age. And I think there was an assumption that maybe Kamala will just take his place and run instead. And I think he is showing he's going to make his mark and be the most progressive president of my lifetime. And it is very disappointing to the people who had faith in him for running as a centrist. In regards to Senator Tim Scott, I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's a bright future of the Republican Party. He told a story about growing up in poverty and having to move in with his grandmother and having 3 family members live in one room, and his uncle pretending to read the newspaper to show a good example, even though we found out he was illiterate. He went on to explain policy reasons why he's a Republican. And in response, he was trending on Twitter being called Uncle Tom and Uncle Tim, which many Americans consider a racial slur. So it's okay to be racist and use racial slurs towards black men as long as they are Republicans. I'm disgusted by the response to him. Hit him on policy if you have policy problems with him. But the way he is being talked about, the way he is being disrespected, don't talk to me about microaggressions with race in this country. Don't talk to me about the problems we have in this country with racism when it's okay to speak and treat a black man this way who happens to be the most famous Republican black senator in the country. It's okay to treat him that way. It's okay for Twitter to let it trend for 11 hours, which is supposed to be against their policies and standards. It's okay to let it trend against Senator Scott. I don't believe it would have happened if he was a Democrat, and it has so hurt me, disgusted me, and saddened me. Literally ruined my night and ruined my morning because of it. I'm so grossed out by the entire thing. And to Senator Scott, there's so many of us that support and love you and think you did a fantastic job last night, and he's the one that should be running for president, not Nikki Haley.
I want to start out by saying, for those of us who don't live in the Twitterverse, because we're used to seeing that kind of horrendous behavior, and you don't know who it is. You don't know whether the person is black or white or female. You don't know who it is. So I tend to stay away from things like that. But one of the things that bothered me is that, people are talking about, if that's how you're going to act towards one guy, you shouldn't talk about, racism. Well, you should, because we've seen it for 4 years, directed at various people, various kinds of people. So racism is alive and well in this country. Whether it's being directed at Muslims or being directed at Mexicans or black people, it is here. So while we're talking about these things, it would be nice if he could have said, you know what? I don't believe the country is entirely racist, but we have some issues we have to deal with. That would have made me feel better. And as far as how much stuff is going to cost us, I don't remember people flipping out about the fact that, our deficit grew by $2 trillion under you-know-who. You know, he said he was going to eliminate the nation's debt. It grew 39% under him. When he came in, it was 19.9. He left, it was 27. I'm saying that only because, yeah, somebody's going to have to clean up this mess. There is a mess. And whether it's a Republican mess or a Democratic mess, it doesn't matter, because it's a mess for the American people. And all I care about is finding a way to clean it up. Because for all those young people, you don't want to walk into this country, you don't want to grow up in this country in the garbage. You don't want to feel like your country doesn't have any sense, doesn't care about who you are. I want both sides. And when someone says no one reached out, I have to say, you know, the 5 times that Democrats joined Republicans, it was to help do all of the COVID relief that you all wanted to do. But I noticed that you all did not do the same. Not one Republican senator reached out to help pass Biden's COVID reform. So somewhere there is a disconnect, but I prefer that someone start talking about this country as a country of people. And people who have some issues that we have to clean up with all the stuff we've got to do. And we got to do it now. Otherwise, no one's going to get it done. And we'll be sitting here in 20 years bitching about the same thing.
Be sure to give me a thumbs up on this video. Please share it with your friends. It really does help my channel. I personally feel like Meghan McCain used Tim Scott as a talking point to showcase her racism. We are not calling the, well, I didn't call the man an uncle anything. Okay, I didn't even know uncle whatever was a racist thing for black people or whatever. But anyways, we're not calling him, well, I didn't call him a racist slur, but I personally, I'm not calling him a, hey, you drunk out the wrong Kool-Aid because you're a Republican. I'm simply calling him a sellout, or that he's off. Because just by even watching him speak, I can tell and I can see, I can feel that there is a sense of hesitance from his voice. I feel like he has a feeling of hesitance by saying that the United States of America is not a racist country, and then giving us his story about growing up in a 1-bedroom home with his mother and his siblings and his grandmother, and talking about how he endured discrimination and how he endured racism, but yet he says that there is no systematic racism in this country. So that's what puts me off. It's not because he's a Republican. It puts me off because of his commentary is very full of contradictions. I mean, I watched Joe Biden's speech last night and I actually enjoyed it. You know, I barely say anything nice about the man, but, you know, I actually enjoyed the speech. And I was watching Turtle McConnell just sitting there. That man was not clapping. I was watching other Republicans in the seat just sitting there watching him, not even raising their hand to clap, not even giving the man a standing ovation, nothing at all whatsoever. And so it's like, I'm just so happy that Trump did not get reelected. And had he got reelected, then I feel like the ignition of racism in this country would have exploded by now. And as a white woman, Meghan McCain, how dare you sit there on The View and tell us that we shouldn't tell you about the microaggressions of racism within black people, within people of color, just because a slew of people on Twitter decides to call him an uncle, whatever. And so who are you to even say, as a white woman who never endured racism, who even endured overly excessive privilege as a white woman against all white women in general, how dare you to even sit there and say that we can't talk about black relations, black issues, just because there is a man named Senator Scott on the Republican Party and is Republican saying that there is no systematic racism in this country. We are not calling this man a slur, or I'm not speaking for all Twitter followers, but I'm sure a lot of black people aren't talking about this man because he's a Republican. We are talking about this man because what he is saying does not make sense. We are talking about this man because clearly he is the another talking point for white supremacy. We are talking about this man because his story is aligned with the definition of systematic racism, but yet he denies it. He denies being that in this country. And I'm very intuitive. And when he spoke the way he spoke yesterday, I can feel a sense that he felt very hesitant and that he knew what he was saying was wrong, that he was only doing that to gain the accolades that he is getting from a political party just by selling out. So as a white woman, babe, it's not your choice. You know, you're going to constantly hear about black issues. You're going to constantly hear about racism in this country. And like, I'm highly offended and highly insulted that she sat there on The View today and simply said that she doesn't want to hear about the microaggressions in this country. Girl, shut the fuck up. Your dad denounced Martin Luther King holiday. Your dad tried to denounce Obamacare. Your dad was a racist himself, okay? So you are a racist too. You don't believe in systematic racism. Your husband does not believe in systematic racism. He believes it ended during the civil rights movements of 1960. If systematic racism doesn't exist, I shouldn't be worried about putting my full name on a resume and not being called for a job. Currently, I shouldn't be worried about seeing a realtor not enduring the racism that I endured a month ago. So for you to even sit there and say, don't explain to me about the microaggressions of racism because when there's a black man that's a Republican, they want to be called an Uncle Tom, Uncle Tim, whatever. Like, how dare you? Don't sit there. Don't sit there and say that. And you personally don't believe in systematic racism as well because you liked a tweet from your stanky looking friend Barry Wise who has articles on a Substack and has no career at all, and said that she does not believe that systematic racism exists. They entered in 1960s during the civil rights movement, and Sonny got on her ass on Twitter, and I was here for it. So anyways, y'all, I'm tired of this Meghan McCain chick. Like, she can go to hell. Literally, she is not smart. No, you're not giving us insight on a Republican Party. You're giving us your husband insights on his stupid damn plagiarist blog. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please share this video with your friends. Please thumbs up this video, y'all. She pissed me off. She really did piss me off. Please thumbs up this video. I'd appreciate it if you go on patreon.com/JOAJOA. Everything is in the description box. Deuces. Yay!